Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. Let me go. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow.
Well, good evening to you. It's such a pleasure being here with you again to share your space and to share some more information with you. I remain your humble servant, Coretta McDonald, as we go on advancing the cause. This evening, I want to share with us a little thought. And it says, the greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. I want to leave that with you for a while. We have recognized that for the last 4 months, over the last 4 months almost there, lots and lots of things, and I am going to reinforce that. Lots and lots of atrocities have been meted out to our people, and in particular, Black people, African, Afro-Guyanese people. And it's amazing that a group of people who calls themselves government would seek to marginalize, discriminate, and humiliate a certain set of people. And you know what is sad? It is sad that we have Afro-Guyanese who make up that grouping too. But again, they are smile oranges. They are puppets. They can only move when their strings are pulled. They can only speak when their strings are pulled and when they're given a dictated passage for them to read. And so we're going to start off this evening based on that. Last week we had with you Comrade Lincoln Lewis, and we explored a whole lot. And I want to, in his absence, I want to thank him for the issues he brought to the fore. And I want to publicly admit that, yes, we're taking too long to do some of what we have to do. And it seems as if we're going to have to use some bits of electric wire to give us that jump start, but I'm hoping that we don't get there. This evening, I'm sharing again with you another 10 Afro-Guyanese who were sent on the breadline. Another 10 Afro-Guyanese, and the names are there for us to see them. These persons were sent home without any particular reason. They were just given letters and they were either sent on leave until a particular time. And when that time would have elapsed, they were given their marching letters thanking them for their services in the ministry or ministries to which they belong. Now, this is disgusting. And they're being told we are going to work out your payments and other benefits. Just this week, 2 days ago, we have recognized that letters are being sent to other employees within the ministries, and they're being asked to reapply for their jobs. And in reapplying for their jobs, they're also asked to state all of their qualifications and to say under which administration they were employed. This is so ridiculous. This is so shameful. And you know what is, I find it so amazing and so barefaced from this illegal government that we have sitting there, that they would want to ask persons for their qualifications when even some of them who are sitting there, they don't have the kind of qualifications like some of the persons they're sending home. Again, we will not continue to sit idly by. This APNU AFC opposition party will not continue to sit idly by. I know you're saying in your minds, we've been hearing that from you. But you know what? The camel's back is almost broken. We cannot continue to watch persons there having thoughts of, how am I going to get my mortgage repaid? How am I going to pay my car note? How am I going to put food on the table for my children or for my family if you're not yet married and you're there supporting your mother and other siblings? Where do I get the monies from if you were the only breadwinner? Something drastic has got to happen. And if we were to reflect on what transpired during slavery, it seems as if that's the passage that this illegal regime want to take us through. We will not stand by this. Our foreparents fought that good fight already, and we will not go through this again. And so this Christmas, and I've said that the week before, this Christmas, we are going to stand in solidarity with all of those Guyanese citizens who were placed on the breadline. We will stand in solidarity with them. We will share their dark Christmases. And I'm asking you, our viewers out there, those near and afar, to join with us as we share this dark Christmas. There's nothing exciting about this Christmas. There's no goodwill about this Christmas. There's nothing for us to be happy and joyful about. Because at the end of the day, injustice to one is injustice to all. And justice delayed is justice denied. Or justice denied is justice delayed. And we will have to band our bellies together. Like the old people would say. We are going to have to sit together. We will have to cause some sort of revolt to take place in this country so that our people can be freed, so that our people would be able to enjoy the good life that was promised to them by the coalition. I want to bring to you this evening too the fact that
we go have a grand time all night tonight, all night tonight, all night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight, all night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight, all night tonight, all night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight, all night tomorrow night. Let me go. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. Blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. Holla the blow, 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 blow. Blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night.
We're sorry for that bit of interruption. Technical difficulties somewhere along the line would have caused us to have a disruption. But like I'm saying, we're going to have to start that revolt because our people will have to enjoy the good life that was promised by the APNU AFC coalition. When we were in government, we never stopped to find out who was employed by whom. What we looked at was your qualifications and your performance on the job. And it's true that some persons might not be fully qualified for the job that they're having, but their performance outweighs the qualification, the lack of qualification in quite a lot of instances. And the thing is, productivity is what is important. I have seen over the last 3 months some persons being employed by this illegal regime. Some, all they have is their birth certificate. That's all they have. But they've been given very, very senior positions. And without any knowledge of being able to function in those positions. And so you know what is happening? These persons are now depending on their support staff to do what is supposed to be done for them. And we talk about, and they want to talk about integrity, and they want to talk about honesty, and they want to talk about decency. These people have no shame, none whatsoever. When it comes to abuse, see the PPP and their cabals. When it comes to corruption, their names are calling there. When it comes to discrimination, you don't have to talk. Their names are right there. And it's amazing now that we are not seeing or hearing from some of the people who were shouting a whole lot in August, in July, in June. We're not seeing those persons. They are very, very quiet. Some of those CARICOM heads of government, we're not seeing them, we're not hearing from them. You're not hearing them talking about doing what is right and doing what the people desire. They're very quiet. We had the issue just a couple of days ago with the treatment that has been meted out to our Haitian brothers and sisters and the mouths of CARICOM leaders. Pasted, zipped, locked. They can't speak except for a few. And these are the people who talk about democracy. These are the people who talk about free movement. and that skilled persons can move from one CARICOM country to another CARICOM country and enjoy the good life of that other CARICOM country without having to go through any kind of harassment. But it's a whole big farce. And some of us, some of our leaders, they are guilty of that. My friends, the time has come when we will have to not only document and have in our files the number of persons who have been dismissed, but we are going to have to walk down the road, hit the streets, and make a declaration that we either have these persons reinstated or nothing will happen. I think that's the point where we have to get to. That's the point where we have to get to. We either reinstate these persons or nothing else will happen. I noticed too, we have gone into the missions and we're checking for appointment dates. And we're checking for this qualification and that qualification and all kinds of qualification. And some persons, they're being recalled. And it leaves one to wonder whether this illegal regime is setting the stage for a revolution. There will come a time when our people would not be able to sit comfortable. And so, you know what? If we can't be comfortable, then others must not be comfortable. Let me say it just that straight. If we can't be comfortable, then others will not be made comfortable. We're going to have to make other persons uncomfortable. And so I want to say to us, start holding your monies putting your monies in your pocket, keeping them there. I spoke about this last week and the week before. Don't bother with the fancy shopping this Christmas. Keep your monies to do other things. Buy what is basic, what is necessary for you to use. And it's only then when the pockets of other persons are not being filled, they're going to understand the suffering and the frustration that we are going through. We cannot continue to fill the pockets of the businessmen who are already rich while our people suffer. We cannot continue to allow for this illegal regime to behave as if it's business as usual when our people are suffering. My friends, we have had enough. And let me say to you, if you got to come with your cup with water, then come with your cup with some water. If you have to come with a 5-gallon bottle of water, come with your 5-gallon bottle of water. If you have to come with your little bowl with some biscuits and some peanut butter spread out on that, bring them. We are going to sit in the streets and we are going to hold our placards up and we are going to signal to all and sundry, we would have had enough. And I'm saying this not only because I want to say it, but I'm saying this because this is the passion that I have within me to ensure that our people are safe, to ensure that our people are treated justly, to ensure that our people are given the rights that other persons are being given, to ensure that our persons can have jobs and have livable wages so they can live comfortable lives. We talk about our youths. What do we have in place for them? What has this illegal regime done for our youths? Apart from dismissing them, what else have they done for them? Nothing. Rather than putting programs in place for our youths, they've decided to send them home. or they run around the place and they distribute footballs and basketballs, how would they be able to sustain a game of cricket or football when their stomachs are empty? We have not seen anything positive coming out of this illegal regime. The COVID $25,000 relief, that's a story all by itself, where we've recognized that persons who are presumed to be supporters of the coalition, they are being denied that $25,000. I want to say to us that the game is over. Time for serious business. Time for every Guyanese citizen to be treated equally. And if we can't start now, then we won't be able to start at all. And if we don't stop what is happening now, many more, let me say this, many more of our brothers and sisters are going to be on the breadline. And this in itself is abuse in its worst form. This by itself is a breach of those conventions that we have signed on to as a country with the International Labour Organization. We have written all and sundry outside of Guyana. And we are awaiting the response of some of those organizations. But the thing is, we have alerted them to what is happening. So when we decide to take action, persons would not be able to say they were not aware of what is happening. We would have written as far as to the International Labour Organization. We at the Labour would have written letters to international trade unions, highlighting the plight of workers across this country. We have seen the random and careless spending of monies that belong to citizens. You know, it's amazing how when the shoes is not on your foot, you see the way it's fitting. But when it's on your foot and it feels good, it's all right. This particular regime, this illegal regime, had lots and lots and lots to talk about when the coalition were the government of the day. They spoke about where the ministers lived. They spoke about the vehicles that were being bought or the proposals that were made for some vehicles. They spoke about offices that the ministers had. They spoke just about everything that was negative. But yet, we are seeing with them now, in just over 3 months, we are seeing much more than squandermania. Money is being spent left, right, and center on things that are not important. And yet we want to talk about a government who is there for all Guyana. I figure some people don't understand the things when they say them, but they speak because they know words. It's alarming to see the amount of crazy things that are happening within this country. When we talk about the health system, that is in disarray, more than disarray. Again, the 2 geriatrics and the halfway one, they just don't know what to do with regards to being able to put or to bring to a halt or to slow down the pace at which our COVID cases are moving. And then I didn't want to touch this, but I have to do that. The education system is in more mess. Because we have seen, and we're continuing to see, systems being put in place for face-to-face teaching when there isn't the requisite precautions that are supposed to be taken. They're not in place. They're not in place. Students are attending schools. They're testing positive for COVID after being in school for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And then nothing is being done with regards to those schools being closed for a day or 2 days. You're hearing from health officials, it's okay for students to continue to attend school. It's okay for teachers to continue to attend school. It's okay for everything to be happening as usual. Sometimes I get the feeling that our officials, the ones way down the ladder, that they are so scared that in doing the right thing, they prefer to do the wrong thing because they're scared, they're frustrated, and they're thinking that, okay, maybe if I do this, if I go against this, I might be one on the breadline too. But I want to say to some of our officials, our junior officials, stand up for what is right. Even if you have to be counted among some of the others who are without jobs at this time, stand up for what is right. Allow history to record you for doing what is right. We cannot continue to allow this regime to cause us to suffer, to cause us to put other persons at risk because they just don't care. We have seen persons doing all that you can think about when it comes to COVID precautions. Everything opposite to what they're supposed to be doing, they're doing. We see ministers parading the streets on visits without wearing their mask. We see ministers at forum pulling their mask off their face and making statements like, oh, this thing is stifling me. But yet, these are the people who expect 14, 15, and 16 and 17-year-old students to wear a mask for 5 hours or 4 hours or 3.5 hours. These people, something has got to be wrong with them. So we have got to be able to cause that revamping, rejuvenation amongst our people. And we could only do this by showing our people that we care. And in showing our people that we care, we have to be able to demonstrate leadership. Excuse me. We have to be able to demonstrate leadership. We will have to take the bull by the horns and lead from the front so that our people are going to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just permit me to share with you, having said all of this on that aspect of it, permit me to share with you what some of the issues, other issues, as a matter of fact, that we have had to deal with over the last couple of days. We've had issues of suicide. We've had issues of robberies, murders. We've had issues where persons are being infected again with, persons are being reinfected with COVID. And you're recognizing that there's nothing happening with regards to being able to deal with these situations. During this time especially, we know that we have lots and lots of opportunists around. And I'm talking here about the pickpocket and those who want to follow you down the road to commit robbery. But we have not been able to really see the Guyana police force doing what they have to do with regards to being able to stem the curb, with being able to stem the rise in all of these robberies that we've been having. Just 2 days ago, a 60-year-old man was shot and killed and his motorcycle taken away from him. Well, it could not have been taken away from him any longer. His motorcycle was stolen. 60 years old. We saw not so long ago a 70-year-old man being thrown off of his bicycle and $200, 200 Guyana dollars was taken away from him. And this is to say how desperate persons are, that they will go the length because there are no jobs. Because the persons who wanted government so badly, they have no plan, none whatsoever for these persons. Mind you, I'm not saying that we are not going to have criminal activities with the best of plan. But since there is no plan, you can imagine what is happening. Our young men, they have to live. They have to eat. And not only our young men, our young women too. Because you find them in the supermarkets, in the stores, and down the busy streets, you find them there too. Walking close to you and touching your bags and touching your touching you as a person. And so all of these things are happening because there's no proper system in place. I want to say to us, and you notice I'm every time I'm emphasizing this, we have got to be the change. We have to be the agents. We have to be able to give the directions, and we will give the directions so that our people would be able to live comfortable. I spoke not too long about our health system. I spoke about the security system. I spoke about our education system. And now I want to take you over to what's happening with regards, well, this will fall somewhat in between the ministries of infrastructure, and this will also fall under the foot of the Ministry of Home Affairs, where we have the coalition would have left a master plan with regards to the construction of our roads, because we foresaw what will happen, or we would have foreseen, use foresight to see what will happen in the not so distant future. And we have left blueprints there for them to continue on. But you know what? This government, this illegal government, they are so full of themselves that when we would have left a plan there with regards to building new roads and where those roads are going to be, the villages that those roads are going to be cut through, they have thrown that aside. And they're going to now be spending more of our taxpayers' dollars to have new sites being identified, new plans being drawn, new construction sites that will cost us even more than the ones we have identified already. And you know what? As we speak, my brothers and my sisters and their families who are living in Region 3, they have this struggle at this time with all the long hours being in lines, traffic build up to get home. And all we're saying is if the Ministry of Home Affairs would sit with the officials, the senior ranks at the Guyana Police Force, if they would sit there and map out a proper plan, then we wouldn't have the kinds of foolishness we are happening on our roadways now. We wouldn't have that if they're able to man properly what is happening on our roads. We wouldn't have those long traffic congestions for persons to be there spending hours in those lines, and then they're left at the mercies of some persons who want to use the opportunity to rob them. So let me call on the Minister of Home Affairs. Even though you're illegal, let me call on you, because you were placed there, you wanted to be there, and you're receiving salary, you're receiving allowances, and you get all the other benefits. Let me call on you at this time to ensure this, one, safety of our people, and two, to ensure that we don't have to spend all of these long hours in the lines to get to and from our homes. I also want to call on the minister, the legal Minister of Labor, to say to you, it's time for you to step in. It's time for you to start looking at what is happening with labor. It's time for you to represent the people whom you would have sworn to represent. It's time for you to start looking out for them. It's time for you to start telling your colleagues, stop dismissing persons. It's time for you to say to your colleagues, those who would have had contracts and their contracts are almost at an end, or their contracts would have ended, that you pay them their benefits. Don't sit there and carry around the title as Minister of Labor and you're doing nothing for labor. It's time for you to act. It's time for you to start looking at what is happening with the people in this country, or to the people of this country. And it's time for you to make provisions and put solutions to these problems. While I'm calling out those ministers, I want to call out the Minister of Human Services. Open your eyes, madam, and see what is happening to our women in this society. Quite a lot of them single parents who are on the breadline at this time, and they don't know where they are going to get monies from to make their children happy during this period when they ought to be happy. As a woman, you need to stand up for women. You also need to stand up for those men who are providers of homes. It is a desperate and disgusting situation. You stood there and you took oaths to represent your people, to serve them, not to discriminate. And so I want to say to you, look out for your people. Do what you're supposed to do as required by law. We are tired of being discriminated against. Our people are frustrated. And while I'm speaking of frustration, I want to throw into the pot at this time and to remind our people, and to remind those illegal ones too, that last year, this time, our people knew exactly what their salary increases would have been. They knew that because we had a competent minister. Up to this time, we cannot hear anything with regards to increases for public servants. We saw sometime last month the illegal president making a bold statement and talking about 2 weeks bonus for healthcare workers. But just today, I'm recognizing that there is a note that there's a media house has published some information where they're saying that the bonus would only be for doctors. Well, you know what? Since doctors are the only healthcare workers, then it means that the other groups of workers who are the support base for our doctors, they are going to have to act. Since you're going to discriminate, and since you're going to be so disrespectful, then those other sectors of workers, they're going to have to respond to you. They're going to have to react to you. It's a shame. It's a shame that our people are being treated as if they don't belong. Our people are being treated as if they are now slaves and you are their owners. So you give to them what you think is right when you think it's the right time to give to them. And we have gotten, in some sectors, we have gotten to the stage where persons are so scared that they don't even want to talk. Let me remind you that we are a resolute group of people. Let me remind you that the late, great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, when we were having our issues, when the issues started with Venezuela, and he addressed them, he said to them, Guyana is ours, not a blade of grass, not one chorus, not even a blue saki. And so we are going to say, I am going to remind this fraudulent government that this country, Guyana, belongs to all of us. All of us have equal shares right here in this land. And you will not allow us, you're not going to make us feel that we are second-class citizens. You will not make us feel that we are worth less than others. You will not make us feel that we have to suck up to you to be able to survive. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And just the same way the judicial system worked for you a couple of months ago, the judicial system will have to work for us. And so when you come and you dance around the place and you talk about petition and throwing petition out and throwing petition out and throwing petition out, you people said you wanted petition. Now when you get the petition, you are scared of the petition. But don't worry, even the longest rope has an end. And your end is going to be very soon. Your end will be very soon. We will unite. We will band together. We are going to stand the course, and we are going to end injustice that is being meted out to our people. We will sound that call. And so let me say to you, my viewers, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, ready yourselves. Ready yourselves. Let's purpose in our hearts and in our minds that when that call is made, we will all stand up and be counted. We are going to stand with our brothers and our sisters who have been dismissed wrongfully. We are going to stand with our brothers and our sisters who have been humiliated, who have been placed in police lockups. We will stand with them. And together we will fight this fight for freedom and equal rights. Together we will fight this fight to ensure that our children and our grandchildren would not have to suffer the way we are suffering at this time, or the way the government, this illegal regime, would want us to feel. As I conclude this evening's little discussion with you. I want to say to us, my comrades, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, today for you, tomorrow for me. I don't know, and you don't know when they'll come after us. But what we can do, we can stop that. We have the power in our hands to stop that. We have the goodwill of the people on our side, and we are going to triumph. But we could only do that if we understand what our mission is, if we understand where we are going and how we plan to get there. So you see, my brothers, Dr. Clement Henry, and my sisters, Audrey Garway, Shirley Richardson, Brother Van West Charles, and all the others who have been wrongfully dismissed. We will stand with them. We will stand together. We are going to move together. There's nothing that we can't do. But we must first remember what our purpose is. And our purpose is to ensure that Guyana is a free land for all of us. Our purpose is to ensure that every single race is treated equally. Our purpose is to ensure that we put systems in place for our young people so that tomorrow and next week they can pick up from where we would have left off and become the leaders to lead this country. We have to remember that Guyana was once the breadbasket of the Caribbean. Today, we are now being deemed the new Dubai of the Caribbean. And it's amazing how foreigners can come to this country and have more rights or enjoy many more privileges than you and I. And we have to put a stopping to that. It's amazing how certain sets of people and their families can enjoy all sorts of privileges. But for you or for me, we can't. We have to end that. And starting from now, we have to ring that bell over and over and urge us all that this fight is not for you or it's not for me. This fight is for us. This fight is for our generations to come, so that in a few years from now, our generation, our children would not be mixing up boundaries when it comes to our natural regions and our administrative regions. They're going to know the boundaries because we are going to plan properly and we're going to teach them well. Our people and our children will understand that every single Guyanese citizen in this, every single race in this country have an equal opportunity to be here. Our children would understand that jobs will be given evenly across the board as long as you're qualified for them. Our people, our children, as a matter of fact, would understand when they become leaders that you must treat each other the way you want persons to treat you. And so, in closing, I want to go that quote again, which says to us all that a man is not being measured by what he has. That a man is not being measured because he is in a particular group. That a man is not being measured because of how much he acquires through fraud, but that a man is measured by his integrity and his ability to affect people around him positively. On that note, I want to say to you, thank you for having me once again in your homes. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. Thank you in advance for your support, because we are going to rock this boat. Do remember to stay safe and to observe the precautions that are being set out. Each one, reach one, each one, let's teach one. Let's strive together to make Guyana once more a beautiful country for all of us. Do enjoy the rest of the evening, and may God continue to bless us all. See you next week at 6:30. Bye-bye for now.
Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. Blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night.